Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Tulsa King Season 1, Episode 9. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. Well, so first and foremost, we get a flashback to 25 years ago. Now, this is what I had to go back and rewatch the beginning of this series because I feel like I'm completely misunderstood the reason why Dwight went to prison. The whole reason was like he took the fall for a murder, right? I thought it was something Pete did, but maybe it was Chicky, or maybe it was still the murder that Pete did or something. But he went to prison for taking a fall for that. But he had told Margaret the story of what we saw at the beginning, him killing Ripple, because it's like, I had no choice. I had to kill him out of mercy. We don't know why, but Ripple got caught up because I guess Chicky and Nico were kind of like, yo, we don't, like, he owes him money or something. He did something. We didn't really get the specifics of what he did. And he was kind of like, I don't remember. So they're like breaking his leg, like, branding him with a brand, and luckily Armand called up Dwight. Sadly, the building caught on fire. And it's an old building, so it caught on fire, and Dwight couldn't get him out because Chicky nor Nico had the keys. Plus, the cops are rolling up too. Fire spreading, so Dwight killed his friend Ripple out of mercy. He's like, I can't get you out of here, and I'm not going to let you burn to death. So, but we see the cops there. So but like I said, I don't know if that's. Because he did say he went to prison for murdering someone. So that's why I guess that's all. Maybe, because I think I'm conflating it as two separate things. Maybe it all is one thing of like, it wasn't a straight up murder. If anything, Chicky and Nico were there. They were doing their thing. Maybe they were even doing it on Pete's orders. But the fact is, he took the fall. He wasn't going to say anything. But yeah, I'm the one that killed him out of mercy and stuff. So maybe it's all one thing and not two separate things like I keep thinking it was. Either way. Back to present day, the ATF and FBI asking Dwight a lot of questions about his relationship with Stacy, and it's like, of course they would, because it's like, oh, your number's all over her phone. It's like, you would think Stacy would probably delete that. You would think. I don't know, like, you think he'd be an unknown contact, not unless they, I mean, I guess it's just a situation of like, right, I keep my phone on me, what reason would they ever have to? But I'm like, just out of precaution, because she's like, yeah, your number's all over. But to be fair, even if it was an unlisted number, they probably could still like check it out themselves. They could either call it themselves and find out it's his number, or they could just look it up themselves. So they probably just had to check her phone records, or at least his phone records, and be like, oh, I mean, also, because like, yeah, she gets shot at while like she's in front of like the place you're staying. Like, there's a lot of questions on that front that is like, yeah, I knew it was going to raise some questions, but yeah, luckily as a lawyer show up, get him out of that situation. And he goes and visits Stacy, which I'm like, that's probably not a good idea. They're asking all these questions about you and her, and you roll up on her. But it's like, yeah, like, you saved my life and I owe you a lot. But for Stacy, it's like, yeah, like, Woe Trip, he's most likely going, he's got all that money. And also, yeah, I'm not going to keep my job. It's like getting mixed up with him, which even he's like, yeah, I know we have like not the most normal relationship. She's like, what, this isn't normal to you? It's like, this is probably new to, him as well, just because he's probably never been in a situation where he's basically been with a cop. I mean, at least not that we're aware of. But because of this, he wants Woe Trip dead. He talks to Armand, is like, put the word out. Anyone sees him, kill him on sight. But when it's all said and done, there was also that interesting thing with Armand. He was like, yo, why, are you sure you kind of want to be here, especially because Chicky, Goody, and Nico... Now, I said Nico earlier. I didn't mean Nico. I meant Vince. I got to correct myself. I was thinking of Vince earlier and Vince now. I kept saying Nico. Nico's long since dead. But with... at least I think that was Vince back then, wasn't it? I don't think that was Nico. I'm pretty sure that was Vince. And whatever the case may have been. Either way, all three of them are here in... Tulsa now, so it's a situation of like, right, if you show up, that's gonna be a problem, because he's like, yeah, things are about to get ugly. But for Armand, it's already been ugly. We kind of get into his psychology a little bit more. Like, obviously, he's been feeling himself a little bit lately, kind of slipping back into Armand rather than Manny. And so he talks about it. He felt like after everything went down, a couple months after he went to prison, like after Dwight went to prison, Armand got called up with Chicky, and was like, hey, let's go. And he came strapped up. He's like, all right, if this goes down, it goes down. But the problem is he couldn't get out of his car, and he blamed himself. He was like, I was a coward. I froze. And he's like, yeah, when you showed up in town too, I froze as well. And he's just like, well, no, when you showed up in town, I didn't want to be in that situation. I didn't want to be a coward again. That's why he made a move again. Because he's like, he felt like and it's kind of a little bit of that pride and machismo, I think, of just like, yo, like, I'm not going to be a coward. I'm not going to run again. If this is what's going to go down, I'm going to face it head on, because he's lived with that regret for the past like 20 some years, feeling like a coward, and if their line of work, that really cuts you deep. But even Dwight's like, it's okay to be scared. Like, fear is a natural human instinct. I mean, yeah, fear is what has, that's part of evolution. It keeps us alive, having fear. It prevents you from doing anything, keeps you, fear is a good thing. It keeps you on edge, keeps you, keen. It's like, if you have no fear, that's when you can get a little reckless, you can get a little stupid. But, Armand's like, yo, I'm here to see this through with you. I also like, when he also said, like, I found this job and I hate horses. It's like, you can't trust something that can walk and crap at the same time. He's like, no, that's true. That's absolutely true. So they're seeing this through. He tried to get Tyson out of this as well, but Tyson's like, no, man, like, I told you before, like, this is what I want to do. I get to be my own man. I get to make my own choices, not what my dad thinks, not what my mom wants. This is what I want to do right now. You taught me how to, kind of be my own person, look after my friends. Like, you taught me that. And he's like, Dwight's like, I'm happy that you're the person that picked me up. He's like, yeah, my gangster. And I was like, I love it. But immediately I'm like, oh, please don't let nothing happen to Tyson. That would suck. But it feels like he would be the one that something would happen to. So you got Bodie stealing all of Waltrip's money, which I was like, yeah, big middle fingers to him. Because of course he wasn't going to run away, because, hey, these are people with too much pride. Waltrip wasn't going to leave until he put, it's like, oh, we're going to lay low for a while. Like, everyone hide your bikes. We're going to be in trucks and vehicles for a while until we settle this all down, until like the heat dies down. It's like, well, maybe you shouldn't have popped off on an ATF agent when already your boys got brought in by the Fed. So it's like, you did that, but once again, you're too prideful. You let your anger get the best of you. And Waltrip is like, I'm not leaving here until him and his entire squad are dead. It's like, the smart thing would have been to run, but he's too prideful, because he, just like the parallel of Armand, it's like, I'm not running from them, because he's like, I'm not going to show cowardice or whatever. So it's on site for both groups. It's like, yo, you see anyone from his group, you kill them. One of his people is like, maybe we shouldn't pay him. He gets headshot. Anyone else got any fears and complaints? So, and you have, Armand, Dwight, and Tyson. They roll up and meet up with Chicky, Vince, and Goody. And it's like, yo, what's up with this? It's like, okay, you sent me here to die. This was, and he's like, I've been making money. He's like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like, no. This is my territory now. This is my family. This is my, I'm not part of your family anymore. That died the moment you didn't show me respect. The moment you kicked me out here to die. It's like, yes, you wanted me to die. I thrived. I've survived. He made it perfectly clear at the end of episode 1 that this is what's going to happen. He's going, I'm going to make so much money, and I'm doing good. I'm doing wonderful. You bastards, oh boy, no. Don't ever step foot in Tulsa again. It's nice seeing you again, Chicky. Also, Goody, you either working with him, do you really want to work with this jack-off? Or you could come work for me. You got 3 seconds. Goody chooses Dwight. Now, I was scared the entire time. I'm like, oh, is Goody going to be like the inside man or something like that? But it's like, from what we've seen so far, there's always, I guess he just kind of, once again, he's loyal to like, hey, his main loyalty was to Pete, but even he's recognizing like, yo, you're kind of wilding. But he also has been silent on some front. So that's why I'm like, I don't know if you are an inside guy meant to like be there to keep an eye on things. I mean, you kind of reported back to, to be fair, it wasn't just Chicky. You were reporting back to Pete as well about everything going down in Tulsa. So it's a little different, but I don't know. I'm keeping my eye on Goody. Like, I kind of expected him to betray them this episode. It didn't happen, but there's always the future. So I'm like, I don't know. Like I said, got my eye on Goody. I don't fully trust him. Like, despite how him and Dwight go back, I do love the whole, I actually don't even know your first name. It's Dennis. Oh, Dennis. I'm going to keep calling you Goody. But But yeah, like he's rallying the troops. Everyone's there, including Grace. She's like, I'm here, aren't I? He's like, all right, so let's see this through. And he's basically saying that he looks at life. He's like, life has always been, in my opinion, like a one-way street. You're going down it, and that life behind you kind of burns up. So you have like, and they're like, what ends up happening? No, it disappears behind you, but what's in front of you is kind of like this fiery thing, and you have two choices. You can kind of just give up and accept things and die, or you can like say, fuck fear, and then you push on through. It's kind of like the mentality that Dwight has, and it's like, yeah, let's get this done. Waltrip having his money stolen, which a mill of that, because he had like 8 million or something like that, a mill of that went to Stacy. I mean, a mill can go pretty far. That's still pretty decent enough money just out of nowhere dropped on your lap. But it's also like, I was curious. I was like, so what is Stacy going to do? Well, she is kind of losing her job, so what's she going to do on that front? I was like, that mill is kind of a nice cushion, but we'll see. We'll talk about later events in the episode. But I guess we met Mitch's dad, I guess. That was him being like, oh, like that Dwight guy, he seems like a straight shooter. He's like, yeah. Like, I can't tell you why, but he's like, the moment I met that guy, I knew, like, this guy's going to change my life. And so, they're obviously got their business opportunity going forward. But when the time comes after the money was stolen, Waltrip was like, oh, I know those bastards had something to do with it. Rose up. The moment the song started, I was like, wait. I was like, are they hitting us with some Phil Collins? And then because when I think of In the Air, all I think of is obviously the like everyone thinks of that, right? But it's like, I don't think I've ever really heard like the ambient opening to it, like the ambient background music sound to that. I don't think I've ever heard the like opening to that song. So when I was like, are they about to hit us with some Phil Collins? Like, oh, hell yeah, they are. I love the song choices that they picked, because they picked that. And obviously like the last time that, Dwight and his people dusted up with Waltrip's people during that, with the bats and stuff. It's like, yeah, they played War. So it's like, I love the song choices. I think it also feels befitting because obviously these are older songs, and I think it kind of plays into, I don't know if that's a song choice by like Taylor Sheridan, or just like some of the directors, or is it just supposed to fit just the tone of it, or is it just supposed to represent like Dwight, the old school person that he is? I don't know. I mean, it could be a culmination of everything. Set up the trap, guns are blazing. I was like, please don't let anyone die. Like Armand got grazed, and so did Tyson. I was like, oh, but please don't let anyone die. But yo, Grace coming in, I was like, please don't let anything happen to Grace. I was like, okay, good. She's looking after Tyson, and Dwight's like, you know what, I got Waltrip. And I was like, yeah, not even shooting him straight up, just like bam, punch into the face. I'm like, oh god, yeah. And then at the end, taking the gun from him, and it's just like, I do think I overstepped my ground or something this time, and it ends up pushing his head against the spike, then putting the gun below his head, covering his own face, and then pulling the trigger. I was like, yeah, I felt like he was pretty dead afterwards, but it's like, sending a message by blowing his head off too. So, wow. I was like, oh, wow. I was like, that was, looks like, everyone's okay. It's like, wow, this super worked out for you guys. Then we get to 3 months later, I was like, wait, what? This one, I start being like, wait, is this the season finale? And I checked later on, there is another episode. I was like, because I remember looking and there was going to be 10 episodes. I already know the show got renewed for a second season, like a couple episodes in. But I was like, this is starting to feel like a season finale with the way they handled it. It's like, I mean, I guess the penultimate episode of a season is also the time to like kind of, but like all the confrontations kind of happen. I mean, don't get it twisted. The Chicky stuff is super out there, which I'm also like, well, your family's still in New York. I'd be kind of still a little concerned. But to be fair, Chicky's also not stupid. Like, to go after Tina and her family again. I mean, he kind of went after Emery before, and Dwight kind of put his foot down. But also it could be like Chicky's like, no, I'm not doing anything because I'm biting my time. Like I said, because of the Goody situation. So who knows? That could always be the ace in his back pocket situation. But 3 months later, Tina's out there visiting. They brought out the grandkids. They're in the horseback. And it's like, oh, how's Emery doing? It's like, oh, he's good. Busy. It's like, right. I was like, oh, they're not staying out here. Because I'm about to say, that sounds a little, that he's back home. It's like, well, I think it speaks volumes. He decided not to come, even if it is a short time visit. She came to visit along with the grandkids, but not Emery. So I think that kind of speaks volumes. So I'm also curious to find out more about Margaret. She's been just this little, like, pop in here and there, and it's like, yeah, this is her place. But she also, well, obviously we know the complicated thing with her husband, which I'm curious to see how that plays out. He had invited her to the opening of that whole situation of Mitch's the casino and stuff like that, but she had a charity event, which I'm almost like, are we gonna find out Margaret's like an even bigger deal than we kind of think? I don't know. I get the feeling like feels like there's more to it, because like the whole like him and her thing, I guess like the whole him and Stacy situation, I wasn't sure how that was going to play out considering everything. Which at the end we see Stacy, they're like, hey, except for recent events, you've got a stellar record, so you're going to get your job back, 6 months probation, but you on one condition, which I was like, oh, it's Dwight. She has to take Dwight down, doesn't she? So when she rolls up at the end, I thought that was going to be the case, which sucks, especially for Dwight, because it's like, hey, I know I can't, she also, it's not like she's the one that made that choice. She's an adult, and even she's like, yeah, I take responsibilities for my actions. But it's sad that she ended up choosing her job over Dwight. I mean, her job means the world to her, and she made that perfectly clear. And you can tell she does feel bad about it because she does like Dwight. That's the complicated thing of it. And it's like, yeah, he's been good to me. He also went after Waltrip. Already had beef with him, but had extra reason to kill him the moment he shot me. Like, he made a promise, like, hey, your people better find him before I do, because I will kill him. And you did. But they don't have enough to hold Dwight, but they did because of Stacy. She gave them the flash drive, and it's like, well, to be fair, it's like, there's nothing directly connecting Dwight to that, because Bodie's the one that got the money. Tyson's the one that actually dropped the flash drive off. So there's nothing that really directly ties Dwight to it, I think. But, it's her word being like, yeah, this was a gift from Dwight. To be fair, well, he also signed the thing as D. He didn't put his name. So it's like, there's plenty of plausible deniability in that. So we'll see. And also, I'm sure any lawyer is going to throw out their relationship could be used to throw that all out. But I don't know how that's going to play out. But you could just see the disappointment in Dwight, especially because Tina's like, don't tell me this is happening again, just when she was opening up her heart again. But he's like, no, I'm not going away that's never going to happen. Last time he went away, it was because of that. But now it's also like, well, I put my trust in the wrong person technically again, so it is kind of happening again. So we'll see how that plays out. It sucks because it was such a happy moment. Like, Mitch is on stage, like, performing for everybody, everything looking good. Everything ultimately ends up working out, And it's like, yeah, that's why I kept leaning, like, is this the season finale after the episode? I was like, no, there's still one more episode. So what the next episode looks like is going to be super interesting to see how this all plays out. Once again, there's still the Chicky stuff that I doubt we're done with. We're definitely not done with that. But what happens for Dwight next is going to be super interesting to see, and what this means for him. And I guess like this kind of screws the pooch on anything between him and Stacy. And now it's like, cool, we had our history, and despite how complicated it is, like we're on opposite sides of things going forward. So I guess this also leans more towards the him and Margaret thing. The fact is, once again, that charity event makes me almost go like, you must be a big shot, and she might be helpful when it comes to the whole Dwight thing. Like, she might be a powerful ally to have, and there might be, I don't know, now that there's no him and Stacy, maybe that's a him and Margaret. I mean, that's already been happening already, but we shall see where the season finale ultimately takes us going forward with all of this. But really, that's all I want to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.